Hello and welcome to G Money Sports College Football Week 10. Just me this week. Wolfie, my college football co-host, very busy week this week, so I figured give him the week off and I will tackle the slate by myself this week. Going this week is kind of disappointing. Not that many good games, really. So hopefully it'll be fun to watch. I know Iowa State has a big game against Texas this week after one of the most disappointing games I've had in college against West Virginia. If any of you watched that game, I'm not going to get into it just because, yes, very upsetting game. But I am excited for Texas this week. I think the Iowa State fans are going to be amped and be going after Texas, especially leaving the Big 12 and kind of betrayed all the other Big 12 schools. So I'm really excited that Jack Trice is going to be electric. This show is brought to you by Mel Yellow. And all right, I'll get into my card for this week. So, like I said, this week, not that many good games, so I'm not going to go do a game-by-game breakdown. I'm just going to roll through my card, hit on each game a little bit, and then from there, instead of going into the games, because I just think, like I said, that the games aren't great, slate's not great, so I'll just give my analysis game by game. Starting off, we have Army at Air Force. Army plus 2.5 is my pick. I really liked Army this whole year. They played the game against Wake Forest. They put up 56 points. The game with Wisconsin, they kept it close. That's what Army does. Air Force, same exact way. Kind of all the combat forces schools, they all kind of play the same way. Going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's probably going to be a field goal game. Air Force at home makes me lean that way, but I like Army better. I've watched a lot of Army this year, bet on Army a lot this year. They've been covering for me all year. Air Force hasn't really played the level of opponents that Army has, so I kind of think that level of competition is going to help them. I'm going to take Army plus 2.5. I think Pitt bounces back this week, minus 21 at Duke. Duke's awful. Their offense has been non-existent all year. Pitt puts up points to Kenny Pickett. I think they bounce back and demolish Duke. Minnesota minus 15.5 versus Illinois. Minnesota just signed P.J. Fleck to an extension. I think Illinois is trending in the right direction, but I think Minnesota at home blows out Illinois. SMU minus 4.5 at Memphis. This is one of my favorite picks of the week. I love this pick. SMU, same thing, coming off a loss. Memphis has been really bad this year, and especially the last 3 weeks. The last 2 weeks they've been blown out. And SMU is a really good team, really high-powered offense. So I think they bounce back this week. Wake Forest plus 2.5 at North Carolina. I know I'm going against my Tar Heels and Sam Howell, but they've just been so inconsistent all year. They lost to Florida State. Who's not that good. I don't trust them. Wake Forest undefeated. Their level of competition hasn't been great so far, but I do think their offense is for real. They're going to put up points. And with North Carolina's defensive struggles, I can't trust the Tar Heels anymore, so I'm going to take Wake Forest plus 2.5. Ohio State minus 14 at Nebraska. I think Ohio State's finally hit their stride like we thought they would preseason. I think they roll through Nebraska, who it's had a lot of tough, close losses recently. And I think eventually they're going to lose hope, and I think this might be the week that they do, and this is going to be the week they get blown out. I'm calling my shot here. We got Ole Miss minus 8.5 versus Liberty. Ole Miss had a rough couple of weeks, but I do believe Lane Kiffin long term. I think he gets his squad rolling at home, and they beat him with double digits. Got Wisconsin minus 12.5 at Rutgers. Wisconsin's really turned it up the last couple of weeks. Obviously, they blew out Iowa and played pretty good. They've finally resurrected their offense, got the running game going, got their quarterback playing better. So I think with that defense being one of the best units in the country, playing a lot like Iowa did in the beginning of the season. I think they take care of business at Rutgers pretty handily. I have Cincinnati minus 23.5 versus Tulsa. College football rankings came out. Obviously, Cincinnati's going to be disappointed. They need the style points to convince the committee that they can be a top 4 team. They're going to blow out Tulsa. Tulsa's a bad team this year. I think at home they've been blowing out teams versus on the road. They've been keeping games close. So at home, I like 23.5. Maryland plus 9.5 versus Penn State. This is a tough one for me. Penn State's coming off 2 tough losses, one to Illinois and one to Ohio State. So they're not trending in the right direction. But Maryland hasn't been anything special all year. I had high hopes for them, and they haven't really been met yet. But I think they will keep it close here with Penn State. I think Penn State's going to be really feeling defeated after the last 2 weeks. I don't know if they have it in them to bounce back in a tough game against Maryland. At Maryland, so we'll see how that goes. I like the Maryland plus 9.5. I have Baylor minus 6.5 at TCU. TCU just fired Gary Patterson. Baylor's been really good this year. It's simple as that. Less than a touchdown favorite. I love it. Navy plus 20.5 at Notre Dame. I think Navy just keeps games close. I don't think Notre Dame has ever really blown out sure, occasionally they blow out the Armed Forces teams, but I like Navy's team this year. They've kept pretty much every game close. I think they're going to keep it within 3 touchdowns. West Virginia plus 3.5 versus Oklahoma State. This is a toss-up for me. I do believe in Oklahoma State, and I love Mike Gundy, but especially after watching West Virginia dominate Iowa State's defense, I like what they have in Daggy. I think he's a really good quarterback, perfect in the West Virginia scheme. They got the running game going really well. I think they keep the momentum going at home. It's a tough place to play for a visiting team. Plus 3.5. I could see them, losing a game by a field goal. But I think with that 3.5, that's enough to play their cover. Got Michigan State minus 2.5 at Purdue. This is the biggest trap line of the week. Biggest trap game of the week for Michigan State. Traveling to Purdue, a team that's already beat a top 5 opponent. Coming off a huge win against Michigan. This is the classic letdown spot. But I think teams with tough head coaches like Michigan State's are less susceptible. I'm not going to try that word. They have a better chance of coming out and playing hard. I think especially with the running game that they have, that really translates on the road. They're going to keep that going against Purdue, who doesn't have a great run defense. I think Kenneth Walker is the Heisman at this point in the year, and I think he's going to run all over Purdue. Purdue already got their upset win. I don't see them getting 2. Michigan State minus 2.5 at Purdue. I have Auburn plus 4.5 at Texas A&M. I haven't been sold on Texas A&M all year. Auburn, I did write off earlier when they almost lost to Georgia State. But I'm back on based on their performance the last 2 weeks. Seems like they're hitting a stride right now. Play the hot team at plus 4.5. Keep it close. I like Florida State plus 2.5 at home versus NC State. Florida State has hit a new gear the last couple of weeks. They've won some good games. Kept close last week with Clemson. I think NC State, we all wanted them to be good this year, but I don't think they are. So I'm going to take the plus 2.5 at home. Florida State. I have UCF minus 12.5 versus Tulane. I love this pick. Gus Malzahn at UCF has been turning that program around the last couple of weeks. Huge blowout of Memphis 2 weeks ago. Tulane's are one of the worst teams in that conference. This might actually be my lock. UCF minus 12.5. Love it. Yeah, this is my lock. Lock of the week. UCF minus 12.5 versus Tulane. Mississippi State plus 4.5 at Arkansas. Arkansas started off their season really hot. We all remember they beat Texas, which that win, in retrospect, doesn't look as good as it did at the beginning of the season. But Mississippi State has been pretty consistent all year. They played a good game last week. I like the plus 4.5 to keep it close, and I think they have a good chance of winning outright. I have Coastal minus 19.5 at Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is awful, really, really bad. They just they're in the process of hiring a new coach. And And I love Coastal. They've been a good team all year, so I like the 19.5 a lot. I have Iowa minus 11.5 Northwestern. I think Iowa bounces back. Northwestern's been getting blown out all year. They're not a very good team this year. A very young team. They will be good, just not right now. Oregon State going back to the well minus 11.5 at Colorado. Colorado's, if not the worst, second worst team in the Pac-12 behind Arizona. Arizona by far is the worst, but Colorado's right there with them. They're pretty bad. Oregon State's going to run the ball all over them. Love Oregon State here. I have Kentucky minus a half point versus Tennessee. I loved what I saw from Kentucky. They probably played Georgia the closest out of any team in the country this year. They scored two touchdowns, which is crazy, against Georgia. I haven't liked Tennessee all year. I don't really believe in their coach. I like the program in Kentucky better, especially at home. It's going to be a night game in the SEC. Kentucky minus a half point. Love it. Bama minus 28.5 versus LSU. Nick Saban is not going to be – this is his first chance to play LSU at home since the Coach O sorry, I thought I heard someone at my door. Nope. Guess not. It's the beauty of live YouTube. I don't edit any of this, so yeah, I don't hear anything anymore, so hopefully I'm good. But yeah, Bama minus 20.5 versus LSU. This is the first time they played LSU at home since Coach O, famous roll tide what, fuck you. I think Bama's going to roll through LSU. I think they're going to put up at least 50 points, and the defense is going to hold LSU. I like Clemson minus 3.5 at Louisville. Clemson took care of Florida State last week. You should expect under Dabo, he's going to get that team rolling at some point. I think Louisville's been bad all year. It's a good spot for him. I got Michigan minus 20.5 versus Indiana. Indiana's defense is really bad. I think Michigan gets back to the ground game, runs through Indiana. Going to be pissed off after last week. South Carolina plus 17.5 versus Florida. After Florida played Alabama close, they've really gone downhill since then. Just bad quarterback play. South Carolina at home especially at night. Like I said, in the SEC, it's just any SEC school at night. That's just a big advantage just with the environment. I think they keep it close enough with Florida in that 17.5. Iowa State minus 6.5 versus Texas to bounce back. Like I said, it's a night game of Jack Trice, which is always a crazy atmosphere. They're going to be very pissed off after the West Virginia game, and we're going to bounce back heavily. We're going to run the ball over Texas. I hope the defense plays well enough to stop them a little bit. If we get a couple stops, that's all we're going to need. I think we dominate Texas on Saturday. My last pick is Nevada minus 10.5 for San Jose State. Nevada's offense has been really good all year. Carson Strong, awesome. San Jose State, one of the bottom teams in that conference. Home game at night. I just think Nevada rolls through here. That is what I have for Week 10. I really like the board this week. You know, like I said, there's not many good games, but there's a lot of good value in the picks. So I'm excited for the week. I think it should be a good one. As I'm doing this video, I'm actually watching Usman versus Covington, the first fight for UFC. The UFC card this week is awesome. If you guys followed early G Money Sports, I used to do a lot of UFC content, and I want to start doing that again. So I think if I get it done here, I'm going to be putting out a UFC show. Just a quick, probably just go over the main card. But then I have a full UFC betting card that I have going to put out. And, of course, I got NFL coming out as well. So make sure to tune in for that. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.